So let's see. Somehow the super version failed. Let's Alright, well, looks like my stream is gonna start off with me debugging the packaging script, which was not what I was anticipating, but hopefully this will just take a moment. I feel like this needs to be a no-shoes day, so give me one moment to just... there we go. By the way, I should double check. Is the stream labeled correctly? 4coder test. Good enough. Good enough. Oh, check this out. This was cool. We hit 12K on my, or 1200 on my Patreon today, so that means we're getting close to this 2,000, 3/5 of the way there. So that's neat. Anyway, let's see what we can do about this. Here's the package script. I'll put this over here. Hey Miblo, hey insofar as. Okay, so we've gone through the non-super version worked without a problem, and I'm going to use F10 to step through one step at a time and see what comes up next. So we go to build main. That should perform the actual building work, which it is doing. And this is really slow on stream. Even packaging... Oh wait, did it finish maybe the build step? Yeah, that's what happened. So it's done building. That's why it's taking so long. Next. Clear folder. So it couldn't find that file because it didn't exist. Make the folder if it is missing. So it should have just made... Let's go and check here. Build super 4coder. Alright, so those all exist. I don't want to dwell in them in that folder because it might mess something stupid up. Creates the super and the super docs folders. Those already exist. Let's see. Copies the executable file. That seems fine. Open only on Windows. It grabs the PDB. Copies the for it app. Copies that PDB. pack data directory, pack, copy all. I grab all the 4coder files, more 4coder, 4cpp, and the build super.bat. 4coder dist. Get the distribution name, which looks correct. Did something just go wrong because like I was looking in the folder? There we go, so that worked. I guess that must have failed because of unknown question mark last time? I don't know. Weird. Something went wrong last time, but it looks like we've built it correctly this time. Yes. Alright. So, that was just a weird hiccup. Let's see, as if Gartner has a question. Sometimes people ask 4coder related questions in random when you are not around. What would be the best way for them to reach you? They can either post on the 4coder forums or email me at editor@4coder.net, which is on my my screen right above me. That email address, or they can go to 4coder.net, which will take them to Handmade Network, where they can post on the forum. And his particular issue, I don't know if Ian is watching or if he's still in the chat room and that someone else is talking to him or something, but yeah, 4coder ignores accented letters because it only handles ASCII, so just anything that it can't encode, it just treats that as a non-key press, basically. Once I set up 4coder to handle Unicode, which will be something that comes shortly, I believe, that will no longer be an issue. There we go. Ba-da-do. Hey Valbus, glad you like it so far. Yeah, mouse selection kinds of things. It's always tough because there's a lot of different people, and everyone thinks that, like, I got a message today from someone. I don't know if this might have been you, but somebody was telling me that they want all these different things, and they're like, these are probably the most important things that anyone could want, and that's true, except for like international people who really want characters from different alphabets, right? So if you're from the UK, which it sounds like you are if you're using euros, maybe your alphabet and my alphabet are very similar, but there's a lot of people who will be very glad to finally have Unicode support, and they would probably prefer that over some of these other things that seem like the most logical step. So I really need the ability to take polls is what I need. I just don't have a good way that I know to do that yet. But yeah, getting sort of a Vim, Emacs, and Sublime style 4coders that you can just. I want to make it so you can literally you're in 4coder mode and then you just hit a key and then now I'm in Vim mode and then you back out to 4coder mode and then you hit a key and now you're in Sublime mode. And I call Sublime mode the thing where modern text editors with the cursor and the selection and stuff. I think that that is the ultimate goal because then you can just like switch back and forth. Oh, not euros. That's right. UK doesn't use euros. That's the rest of the. That's the other way around. The euros is the rest of the. Well, I guess at this point it's just the EU, right? Anyway, sorry for a little miss up there. Let's take a look. What we need to do today is on my to-do list, under the before I ship section, we have two important things. One of those is that I've got all these new 4coder sort of options that I should, well, what I mean to say is I got all these 4coder things that need to have options for them. And I just realized that I set up an experiment that I need to take out real quick because that is going to cause me a lot of pain if I leave it the way it is. Gonna have to rebuild again real quick. Sorry about that. There we go. Uh-oh. One other thing I gotta do. Damn. My upgrade scheme is not very smooth. There we go. There we go. Alright, now everything is functioning the way I want it to. So, if I come down here, you can see the new 4coder wraps by the word instead of by that and all that, but we don't have options for if you don't really want, like, if you happen to not like this, the way that slash there works for indicating line wraps, there's a few options for that that I'd like to expose. There's a few other things like how much width you'd like to put on the screen and whether you'd like to use extra indent width for code wrapping and stuff like that. I just want to expose a few options. But before we get to any of that, I think that it's finally time that I sit down and work on this Miblo number editing tool. Basically what our friend Miblo wants is a system where he can put his cursor on a number, hit a key, and that command reads the number and then increments and decrements it, and it can treat different types of numbers, I assume. And there's a few different ways we could do this, but I'm going to try to build up a sort of whole series of these. So we're going to build this up in the power section, I believe, since I'm not going to have time to fully test it. And the goal will be that we can just include this right here if we want to. 4coder Miblo Numbers.cpp, and that will bring in all the custom commands for this stuff. So now what we want to do is make a very basic version. So I'm going to start with the most basic thing I can think of, which is just read an integer, increment it. And luckily we have Miblo here in the chat, so him and I will go back and forth, and we'll probably spend until like 6:30 working on this, see if we can't get a nice, decent starting state for this thing. Basic increment. Let's see. Miblo, do you mind if I put the word Miblo in all of these commands in your honor and also for organizational purposes, so that we can forever stamp on history that screen name for all of these things? Basic. So we'll call this the Miblo increment basic, and the way this will work is we'll get a view by getting the active view, like so. And let's see, access open. We only want to do this to files that are meant to be editable. By the way, I'm not sure if, do we have Mikkel here today? He's always the one who's excited about GUI stuff, and I had a breakthrough recently. I've had a lot of breakthroughs about what the future of 4coder will look like in the last month. A lot of different directions that I want to go in, a whole new sort of outlook that makes it kind of looks like for the first time I can see how pieces need to fit together. And I want to let everyone know, the people waiting for GUI stuff, I made a breakthrough, and basically what I'm going to do is I decided that Emacs got it right when they said implement your GUI as text, and I'm going to try that route for a while, because I think that I can do that quite easily, and more importantly we can do that in a way that gives 100% of the power to the customizing, and not have a bunch of internal stuff that I have to maintain that other people can't, debug for themselves. It's just better that way. And by the way, I'm clearly not using my fancy new powers right now. Ah, that appears to be a bug. So if you're at the end of the file, it does tend to... Uh-oh. That's not good. Something about the end of the file isn't being handled correctly, it looks like. I'm going to try to power through that and debug it on my own time. Let's see if I hit Alt-V. Ah, okay, so those are because of the parenthesis. Okay. Now, the fact that it crashed is still suspect. Interesting. Alright, so I figured out what's causing it. We will do that once we are done. I don't want to get distracted here. But once we're done with the Miblo Numbers file, we will take a look at that, and I'll just prevent myself from triggering it again by the power of my will in the meantime. So, let's see, view. I need the buffer ID from that, and I'm feeling that already. I'm definitely going to need my API docs. I can't explain why it is necessarily, but before I had the docs, I didn't think I would ever use them myself, but now I basically always use them. It's just become a thing where rather than trying to memorize my entire API, I just use this, and it frees my mind up a lot. So let's take a look. We get buffer. Okay, what about the view summary? Am I remembering it correctly? buffer ID. Okay, so I got everything right, and I want to access opened files that are open for editing, not read-only files. And let's see. View buffer. Right, so the next thing I need to do is basically I've got my cursor in a certain spot. I need to pull out a number there. I need to try to pull out a number. So, so for now what I'll do is I will just, starting from where I am, where the cursor's at, if it's already on white space, I'll just ignore the result. If it's not on white space, then I'll seek to the left and right for white space and make a range that way. Thank you for the idea. Let's see. Moving on, we need I need an example from over here. I believe I've got stuff that does things like this. So let me find like snipe token or word. How does that work? That uses the ability to seek to the boundaries. Seeking to boundaries might be the right idea in this case too. So let's start by trying that. Let's say we get a position 1 by going boundary seek in one direction, position 2 by going boundary seek in another direction. So I give it the buffer to do the seek in, I give it the starting position, seek to the left, seek for white space. You are the same thing, but seek to the right for white space. Now the only trick is I want to also make sure that it didn't start on white space, which means I really need to do, I believe I have like a get character or something like that. Let me just open all the code. Let's see. Character read buffer get char. Here's the app, the buffer, and the cursor position. There we go. Now we've got a range that is, the only problem with this is it's not going to, like, if I have this number right here, it would take that as a number and a comma and then reject it later. So really this is not necessarily the best way to do it. The best thing I can think to do is to check if I am actually on a numeric character, maybe. Not sure if that would always be the right thing to do. I guess in the basic case, that will be the right thing to do. So let's start with that. We're going to eliminate this. That's not quite right. And we'll do if char is numeric. And we'll do fancier versions as we go. Okay, so now what we want is, we do want a position 1, position 2 that gives me the range of where the number is as a string. So I need to do a sort of a stream. There's a good example. So what we'll do is we need a chunk. We'll make it 1024. That's a good sized chunk. Alright, so we init a stream chunk. We need to read backwards until we find a non-numeric character and then take the first one to the left of that, or to the right of that. So it'll be like, this over here is written in my old experimental style that I don't like anymore. So it's more like this nowadays if I want to be able to read it. Okay, so I start at the position I'm on, and we've already determined that the position I'm on is numeric. We did that earlier, and now what we're going to do is I look at the position I'm on, and I do still looping equals 1. And by the way, I've determined that it's dumb for me to do these as do loops, because on occasion I want to do 2 in a row like I did here, and then a while loop makes more sense. Alright, so I've got it coming through here and getting the left side position. Now I'm going to init the stream again over the same chunk and um, and then do another loop. Um, Okay, so that one, what it does is it starts at the same spot again, and then it starts looking for it. If it ever finds a non-numeric spot, it goes back one. Actually, that's not right. This should not happen. Okay, cool. And that gives us a beginning and an end position um, for the range that the number's in, which will eventually become nice to have as a thing we pull out. So let's go ahead and say we pull that out now and just have a thing that does that work, right? So it's something like get numeric at cursor, and I will give it some inputs, and it will output to me whether or not it found a numeric, as well as the start and the end of the range, or numeric string range, maybe, like that. And so then I think I'm going to regret setting it up that way. Numeric start, numeric end, and so then I want to do something that's basically just all this work here, up here. There we go. Alright, so now that'll try to find a numeric string at the cursor, and then what we can do is if get numeric at cursor, numeric start, numeric end, and the only issue is it won't actually build because it doesn't have all the parameters it needs. So let's take a look. Right, it needs the app, links, it needs a buffer, and I'm going to give it a start position. And why is my line not wrapping? There we go. I see. Alright, so now we have a range that I think contains a string. So what I'm going to do before I actually implement the incrementer is I'm going to just test that I've got what I think I've got by, let's see, we need to do a buffer read range. Got to pop over here to the API and look up buffer read range. How does that work? Yeah, so copy that and paste it. There you go. So there's the app. There's the buffer. Numeric start. Numeric end. And then I'll put that into numeric string. String if numeric start end minus numeric start is less than numeric size of numeric string. Then read that. Alright, so I can read out the numeric string, and now what I need to be able to do is I'm probably going to have to put the string library to work here. Make string, numeric string. Let's just go ahead and do, well, let's do it this way. There we go. So that should now contain all that, and we can even go so far as to null terminate it if I ever want to, but now imagine if I do, how does the string library prefer this to work? String to int, yeah. Int 32t x equals plus plus x, and then I will do int to string around here somewhere. into that string x plus 1. Let's do it that way. Okay. So read out the x and write in a new one, and then instead of writing this into the range, which is what I'm eventually going to do, I'm going to first just see if, well, no, we're almost there. Why don't we just finish up the way it's going to look, because hey, why not? Numeric start, numeric end, string dot, I gotta look this up. Start and string dot string, string dot size. Okay. Now all I need to do is whoops. Looks good. When it's filling out bindings, map ID file. Let's see. What's a binding that I'm not using? Is Alt up down? Yeah, Alt up down is taken. Alt page up, Alt page down isn't taken. So I'll bind. Could you please use the virtual whitespace rules? Context. Key page up. Modifier Alt. Miblo increment basic. Alright, so here's a 1. If I hit control page up on it, no, that did a full screen. Alt page up, hey! Alright, yes, close anyway. Alright, so we've kind of starting to get something good. I'd like to be able to so we've got this which pulls out like we'll call this get numeric string at cursor that gets the string that the cursor's at. Then I think what we'll do is we'll build out another step and go, there's a static int32 get numeric at cursor, which will be a little bit more complicated, and we'll just start to use a struct at that point, maybe. Numeric info or whatever, right? And we'll call this a Miblo number info, and that gives me the start and end and the x value, right? And so that, with the exception of this, would look something kind of like what all this looks like. So if I copy all that into there, and then I just say what I want to do is maybe more like Miblo number, call this the number, get numeric at cursor, app buffer view cursor position number, buffer number dot start, number dot end, stir dot size. So there I do still need a stir equals make fixed with string, stir space, char, stir space, 124 int to stir the the number dot x plus 1, and then buffer replace range. Grab everything from in there, drop it up here, application links, buffer summary, position, Miblo number info. That's odd. I thought I'd fixed all that stuff so that it would always wrap at the comma. Interesting. Well, I'll have to look at that. Let me just make a couple notes here. So, I saw the crash when using auto-indent on text, and I saw the still wrapping after star when comma options available. Okay. Hey PD Codes, thanks for the Twitch host. Wait, what? There we go. Metagen somehow failed. That was weird. Things always act up on stream in really odd ways. I'd love to be prepared to debug those at some point. You know, it's like... Do I have... OBS is taking a lot of time. System idle. Huh. Once in a while I get in bad situations where... Yeah, that does appear to be the case. Yeah, okay. Something went wrong. That's probably because I compiled twice without the first one finishing. Once in a while that causes some problem in my child process handling that I've never fully fixed apparently. I actually thought that was fixed. But it is once again unfixed. Now let me open all the code. I'll open all the code here too. Pop back over to the Miblo numbers. Oops. Alt V Control L. Oh, I gotta teach it to automatically use most of the screen, which it doesn't do right now. And let's come over here to experiments. That should all work. Alright, there we go. Everything's building the normal way again. Straining at cursor. Alright, alt page up, 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 up. It does appear to move the cursor when I do that. Like if I'm right here and I press up, page up, it does that. I don't know if that's an issue for you, Miblo, if that's contrary to the way you would prefer it to work. But yeah, so the basics are there. And now I've boiled that down nicely so that we can do this pretty easily. Decrement basic x minus 1. Moving the cursor to the digit, what does that mean? If you want it to move the cursor to the right, I can do that. I see. So when you say digit, you mean the ones place. That's what I've always heard it called, is the ones place. I mean the naming that that is used around here. Let's take a look. Control page up. Oops, that's control page up. That does full screen. Alt page up. Uh-oh, that's one past the end. That's not good. Alt page up. Page up. 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. This is the part that I was really curious to see. Yeah. Cool. So that's the way you want it to work? Alright, cool. So now we have an increment and a decrement. Yeah, I'm not going to boil those down anymore because I'm not sure if the rest will boil down like that. But let's think. What is the next thing? I know that there's a lot of options we could do like +10, -10 at a time. We could do like different formats of numbers. Like I know you wanted like timestamps. And what's the format your timestamps are in? Give me the next most important thing we can do. Since we're only going to 6:30, that gives us the time to do one more important detail on this one. So it's up to Miblo. What's the next most important thing we can do? Alright, so Miblo says time is the most important one for him, which is all that matters anyway. So, well, how does your timestamp look? Give me an example of your timestamp. Or like a format specification of some kind or something like that. Okay, so it looks like we're talking about a timestamp where the format is optionally we get 1 or more hours, and then we always have a minute and a second. Is that correct? Something like this, although technically if I do this as a regular expression, it would look like this. This portion here is optional. 1 or more H's if we have it, and then minute, second. Alright? I'm going to assume that's right, and we're going to start rolling with it. So, to make a similar system, I see. So the second minute digit is also optional. We only use we use 1 or 2 minute digits. What do you use for 1 minute? Okay, got it. So we only use the second minute digit if we need it. We only use the hour and the colon digits if we need them. And we always use 2 second digits. And at least 1 minute digit. Okay, we can use that. That is not a problem. So, let's see, we need a Miblo increment timestamp. And the way that'll work is we get a view, we get a buffer, we're going to want a Miblo timestamp info timestamp, and we're going to get the timestamp at cursor app buffer view.cursor.position timestamp. Get the timestamp at cursor. Now what we want to do is we want to be able to say, given a something like let Miblo timestamp inc timestamp equal increment timestamp timestamp.time Miblo second 1, and then we will do char stir space 1024 stir equals make fixed with string space stir space timestamp to stir inc timestamp. Let's put this part down here. Buffer replace range app buffer timestamp start timestamp end stir size, and then set the cursor as before, and there we go. So that's the basic format. Now we just need to fill in all the details that I just pulled out of nowhere. So the first thing we need is going to be very much like this. We need to find a range that could validly be the string we care about. So I'm going to do, if it's a numeric, is numeric or current equals that. Right? We'll just grab as much of that as possible. And the same thing with these. Not char is numeric or colon. There we go. So we seek forward and backwards, finding the longest string of numbers and colons in a row that we can find. And we return that. So that's good. Let's see, what else did we do? Number info. So next we're going to need the timestamp thing. Miblo timestamp. And a Miblo timestamp consists of an hour, a minute, and a second. And we're going to make a like so. I'm going to make really quickly type amount. r.second. Let's do minute first. Actually, let's just correct it. So this will work, except that it won't roll the clock over correctly at the right spot. So that's what I need to think about. And it won't handle if the amount is negative, which I want it to handle. It won't handle like a negative second becoming a 59 seconds and 1 minute less. Right, so I need to handle the roll over. And I think the only way I can think to do that is just for on each case, but okay, here's what I can do. This is a little bit wonky maybe, but we'll do it this way. For incrementing the seconds, we do that. Minutes, we do that. Hours, we do that. And then what we want to do is say, look, if r.second is less than 0, amount equals 0, else if r.second is greater than or equal to 60, then what will happen is amount equals how many minutes we need to add, which is only problem is it's going to round up because it does the, like if I do negative divided by -1 divided by 60, it's going to give me a 0 and not a -6, not a -1. So I want to guarantee a round down even through negatives, huh? Well, I don't feel like thinking about it. So, the slower way to do this is while that is true, subtract 1 from the amount and add 60 there. While that is true, add 1 to the amount and subtract 60 there. To do. Someday do the math instead of being lazy. I just can't, like, I don't feel like dealing with, like, oh shoot, it rounded in a nasty way and blah blah blah. The rule would just be take the modulo, but, like, I'm never confident on how negative integers behave on modulos and stuff, and so, there we go. Same thing here. Minute, hour, wait, that's not right. Minute, amount plus yes, and right there, amount equals 0. Okay, so that should give us the ability to increase and decrease timestamps by positive and negative amounts in both directions. And then we need the ability to turn the timestamp into a string. So timestamp to stir. Here's a string dest. Here's the Miblo timestamp. Call it T. Alright, so now the rules are first of all, we always do 2 digits of the second string, of the seconds, but before that we want to figure out, okay, so we need like, okay, so if t dot hour is greater than 0, then int to stir, or append int to stir. What we want to actually do is make sure that dest size starts off at 0. Append onto the dest the t dot hour, and then append char. Okay, I'll just do append dest doom. There we go. Now, if t dot minute is greater than or equal to 10, or t dot hour is greater than 0. So here's where it gets a little tricky. I need to make sure I'm printing exactly 2 digits of the time. In certain cases. How do I do that? I can't remember how if my string library has that. I think it does. Int to stir. I can't remember how. It doesn't look like I actually have that built in. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if the minute is greater than or equal to 10, or the hour is greater than 0, then what we'll do is just wait, we'll do it this way. Then put the minute down. That'll give us 2 digits. Else, if t dot hour is greater than 0, append 0, and then append the int. Else, just append the int with nothing else, and then append the that thing, and then same thing here. T dot second is greater than or equal to 10. We'll do one thing, else we'll do the other thing. And the one thing is we put a 0 and then the time, and the other thing was we just put the time, and there we go. So that should let us dump a timestamp onto the string. Next up we need to deal with this, get timestamp at cursor. Get timestamp, get timestamp, yeah, timestamp start, timestamp end, timestamp start, timestamp end. Very good. Now to get the timestamp at the cursor, one thing I'm going to need is the Miblo timestamp info, which contains a start, an end, and a Miblo timestamp, which is called the what? The time. Okay, the way this one works is it takes an application links, a buffer summary pointer, a position, and a Miblo timestamp info. Yeah. Yep. Okay. And then get numeric at cursor. Perfect. timestamp string, timestamp string, timestamp end, timestamp start, timestamp string, not page up, home. Stir.size less than stir.memory size, buffer read range. Alright, this right here should be timestamp start, timestamp end, and then time equals t. Now we need to make a Miblo timestamp called t. We need to fill it out. Now to fill this thing out, what we need to do is first count the colons for, and this is where we're going to need a new stream to go across the whole thing. You know, I should really do this from the other end, I should think. So let's do it this way, actually. Info time, string add cursor. Actually, no. I don't know. Let's go with it this way. We'll just have, we'll have to look at this a second time, and now that I see where there's a little layer of difficulty forming here, we'll start with that. If we can successfully init the stream chunk, which I need to go look up how to do, I take a stream app buffer. Now what I want to do is I want to start at the timestamp start, timestamp end, timestamp string. I want to start at timestamp start. Oh, I don't need. Okay, I'm dumb. I get it. So I don't need to do this because I've read the whole string into the local string memory here. I don't need to loop across. I don't need to stream across it. I have the whole thing loaded in right now. So I can just do I equals timestamp start, I is less than timestamp end, plus I, count colons, plus equals, plus, timestamp string I equals colon. If count colons equals, or you know what, how would I do, no, we'll do it this way. So, if count colons equals 1 or count colons equals 2, then we're in good shape and we can continue. Now, if count colons equals 2, let's do a second loop here, where we go, here I'll introduce the timestamp t, and what I'm going to do here is number start, number end, number start equals timestamp start, number end equals I, and we really need actually is 3 of those and 3 of those, and so this one is the 0th one, timestamp start, timestamp end, And let's do int32i equals timestamp start here, so I can set that to I. And then I go until I find a colon. Toot. 1, 1, 2, 2. Let's see. My goal here is to try to keep all three of these identical while making them all work, even though they kind of need to work under slightly different conditions. If I equals timestamp and or, that way it won't read the next position, hopefully, if it actually gets to the end. So these two should both end when they see the timestamp, or the colon to delimitate them. This one will end because it sees that it's at the end of the string, hopefully. And after each of these, I'll increase I by an extra. So, well, hold on. First of all, get rid of you. Get rid of you. Read past that. Get rid of you. Alright. Now, if I did my job right, I can do k equals 0, k is less than 3 plus plus k. K and k. Alright, so now I get the number start and the number end 3 times. Very cool. Now, let's see. So I've got 3 number ranges. Now what I need to do is, for each of those, I need to do t.hour equals int to or string to int. String to int. Make string timestamp string plus times number start 0, number start 0 minus number start 0, actually number end 0 minus number start 0. So that makes a string that starts at the beginning of that string and lasts to there. And then we get the string value for it. So let me make a couple more copies here. Minute, second, 0 with 1, 0 with 2. Start. Ah, Nubmer. Thank you, Miblo. Number start. Very good. So that pulls out an hour and a minute and a second. Now, on the other hand, and what we really want to do is when we pull those out, we also want to say this all only is working if success. This all only is working if that equals 2 and if that equals 2, then success equals 1. However, it can be anything, but the others must both be 2 in that case. Now, on the other hand, this code here can actually operate up here if I add the extra stipulation that if I... Oh, oops, there's a problem. That needs to go up there. If I is greater than or equal to timestamp end, then we need to break. Okay, and now if this is true down here, what we've got is we have just 0 and 1, which are minutes and seconds. There is no hours, so then what we'll do is we'll say a very similar thing to what we set up here. This equals to or it equals 1 because it's the minute section. That gives us minutes, and those should all be the first group. Those should be the second group. Second equals and success equals 1. That should equal 2. That should equal 2. How did we do? Inc timestamp increment. Inc timestamp was the name of the variable, not the name of the function or the procedure. Number.start, try timestamp dot start plus string dot size. There we go. So let's see what I did wrong. Suppose I've got the very beginning of my entire, I don't know, whatever this is used for. Wait, I already discovered a problem. I was about to use it and then I discovered a problem, and that is that I didn't bind it to anything. So we've got increment basic bound to page up and increment decrement basic bound to page down. I'm going to replace those with timestamp versions for now, since my keyboard bindings are kind of I don't have a decrement version. Decrement -1. Alright, so nothing's happening. So we've definitely done something wrong, which is good news, because I hate it when things work the first time. It's boring. Debugging is the fun part. Yeah. Okay, so... I'll page up, here we go, and we pop in here, we grab some stuff out, that's good. What does the string look like after I read it? 0, 0. Get timestamp, string, add cursor. I count the colons, and there are 0. That's weird. Alright, let's try that again. Control Alt page up. Pop in there. Pop in there. Okay. Oh, that says current. That should be at pose. Okay, 146. That still failed. Let's take a look. Pops in there. Okay, got a 0:00 now. Timestamp string I equals, oh, oops. Okay. Timestamp start is not good. That should be 0 to string size, and this here should be string. Timestamp start should be 0. I is less than or equal to should be string size. String. This here should be string. This right here should be string. This right here should be string. This right here should be string, and this right here should be string. There we go. Okay, so it comes in here. We pull this out, and now it says 0:00. Good. It counts and finds 1 colon. So it pops in here and goes, alright, we're in a good shape. Let's read as many of these as we can. So the first one starts at 0 and ends at 1. Perfect. Skips the colon, keeps going. The next one starts at 2 and up right there ends at 4. So it has a length of 2, and now it's done. So alright, count colons. That should be colon count. I named that wrong. Colon count was 1, so not 2. It turns out that the length of the first thing is a 1, which is fine. And so 0 minutes, and then this is length 2, yes. 0 seconds, success. Alright, let's take off the breakpoint and see if this worked. Hey! Arrgh. Okay, so, still not working. Alt page up, pop in here. We got this far now. We're making an empty string, and now I'm incrementing the timestamp, so I have 1 second now, and I do timestamp to string, I come in here, that's not triggering, that's not triggering, that's not triggering, so this triggers, and I put a 0 on there. The desc now contains 0 colon, and then seconds greater than 10, no, so I put a 0, and then I put on a 0. Oh, that should be a second and a second. Okay, 2:55. There we go. So let's take a look. Page up. That works. It's a little buggy when you try to go down from 0, but it does appear to roll over at the minute positions correctly. Suppose I have 5 minutes left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep, that appears to be doing everything it needs to do. Let's put ourselves at 9 minutes here. I want to see it roll up. Yep, pretty good, pretty good. Let's put ourselves at 59 minutes here. Yep, that adds the hour in just fine. Quite good. 59. Bloop, there's 2 hours. Put myself on 9 hours and 59 minutes. Yep, alright, cool, it works. And if we want to, just to play around with this a little bit more before we call it done, we've got that working. Let's go one step further and say these here just work on seconds. Let's do like the sort of something like Miblo timestamp alter. We pass in the application. We pass in the unit type and the amount, and then it does all that work, except right here we have the unit type and the amount. And then right here what we can do is, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Right here, I keep hitting page down. I don't really like page up and page down. I added them because Casey wanted them before he would switch over, but I don't really like page up and page down. I always accidentally hit them and mess up my flow. But let's see. Miblo second 1, Miblo second -1, and then we can add pretty easily something like increment timestamp minute, Miblo minute. So let's come over here and use the minute versions. Alright. Alt page up. There we go. So if I want to do both simultaneously, I need a new set of keys to bind to. So I'll do page up and page down. We'll use seconds, and I don't know, alt I guess alt key home and alt key end will be minutes. Alright, so I can start by going like, alright, second, down. Quite cool. Quite cool. Alright, there we go. So, I think that's it for today on the Miblo numbers thing. If you need more of those Miblo, go ahead and write me, but I am going to say that we have that portion of my to-do list done for now. Let's see. We're not else can we do? Indentation rules for text input. Right, so the last problem we need to deal with is that 4coder is going to ship tomorrow, and it has auto-indenting busted, and then once I've got that fixed, it doesn't have any options for how you want your auto-indent set up. So people have trouble making sure that it's using tabs instead of spaces and blah 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 blah. So I want to dig down and make sure that all of that is somewhat clean. It's currently 6:40, so we got done right around the right time for that. I want to double check and make sure that I'm not going to keep streaming when Handmade Hero starts. So what time does Handmade Hero start this fine evening? Handmade Hero. Alright, so that begins at 8 p.m. my time, which means I have just over an hour. I probably won't get this whole thing done then on stream, but I will make sure to ship tomorrow, which means we're going to get some of it done now, and I'll get some of it done while I'm watching Handmade Hero. So, let's start by tracking down that crash bug. Okay, so that all works. So let's come down here to the bottom and see if it's because I'm trying to do it right here. Like suppose I'm got this up and I'm going like foo, then I shift tab there. There we go. There we go. Now what I'd like to do is just run a few experiments to get some ideas about what things cause this and what things don't cause it. Suppose I come down here and I don't put that open parenthesis in. Okay, so it's just any time I try to indent the last line, it looks like. So line start is greater than 0. Line start position token. The token that came back was null. Alright, that'll do it. And why did the token that come back be null? 2927 was the line start. Line start. Start position, end position. That should be start line, not line start. I always have a hard time reading my old code because I didn't try and name these things in a way that I'd be able to understand back then. But line start does not mean the beginning of the line. It means which line, what was the starting line. Yes, this is where it actually is positioned, and then I try to get the first token of the line and it's 0. So if the line start is less than line start position, line start equals get buffer get line index, line start. Get first token at line. So let's take a look at why that's triggering. Because I betcha I can patch over that pretty easily for the time being. Eventually what I want to do is I want to have a terminating token on the end of the streams token streams I output. But for now, I have to like hack these. That's why I've got these helper functions for getting tokens in a lot of places, because that helper function just inserts the end of stream token that I actually want to use. So what happens is we come in here, and the token index is 15381. That's not less than that count, right? Which is why we're getting to 0. Not sure how I can fake that actually, 'cause it's giving me a token pointer, not a token, so... I mean, right there and right there I could fake it, because I could just Here I'm actually testing if the token I got exists. Let's just assume that that's what I should be doing here too. Did I recently add this get indent line hold token? Line start position, get token, line start. Get indent lines. Hold tokens. I see. Yeah, so that's why I haven't caught all these bugs yet. Okay, that makes sense. Let me just put a token and there, because then it'll know, okay, if I still haven't got a token, it's because the position I started at came after all tokens, so it won't ever return me a token that indicates that I've gone to the end, and that will have to be good enough. I think that will just fix it for now. Perfect. Okay. If I go like this, oh, I see. And yeah, the only reason that was busted before was because we had, yeah. Now there is some other issue that happens where if I go like this, weird stuff happens. Yeah. I have no idea what that is. That's just the wrapping system getting really funky. Foo. Look at that. I've got no idea what it's even thinking there. That's crazy town. If I do that, it gets fixed. Whoa. It's still fixed? That can't be right. Huh. Well, I'm gonna chalk this up to not important enough for me to spend any time on it right now. But we'll do it eventually. Just trying to get a demo version out and people will be able to deal with that, and I'll get it fixed with more iterations. Alright, let's deal with some of these missing options. Decent options for indentation rules for text and presentation. So first of all, yes, we need slightly better options, like slightly better default options, or okay, first things first. base display width. Yeah, okay. So that lets us set the indent. It's hard to describe. The right, I need that. The sort of minimum width that it'll be allowed for every single line. Treating the beginning of sort of the indentation, the sort of base indentation as the beginning instead of the left side of the screen as the beginning. Buffer setting, minimum base wrap position. And you can see there, kicking into gear, the comment wrapping, which will wrap a comment the way you'd kind of want it to, but the comment wrapping has the problem that if you already manually wrapped it, it'll make weird looking comments sometimes. So now I am torn between spending lots of time unwrapping all of my code or just dealing with the weird looking spots and fixing them a little bit over time for a long time until I don't see weird stuff anymore. Okay. Now, the buffer setting, let's write a quick doc note here. Minimum base wrap position setting determines is used to increase the width in pixels allotted to a line for wrapping by setting a minimum position away from the base of the line. The base of a line is always 0 in text files, but in code files 0, or the left-hand side of the view in text files. In code files, the base of a line is the amount shifted to the right. The amount the line is shifted to the right due to brace nesting. This setting allows for deeply nested braces code to remain readable by ensuring lines deep in the nesting get some minimum base width, which may be more wrapping space than the non-base adjusted wrap position would have allowed. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So that's the minimum base wrap position setting, so you can fine-tune that for yourself. I should also mention, if this is set to 0, or in any case where the wrapping position, where the default wrapping position is greater than the base plus the minimum base position, the larger the base plus default wrapping position is greater, the larger. The larger one will be used. Default will still be used. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that makes some sense. Next up, I need to allow a setting for let's see, what's the thing I'm thinking of? There was one other good setting I needed to provide. Oh, the file has a is it not built into the file yet? Draw file loaded. Here it is. So I want this to come straight from the file. Settings dot wrap indicator. And let's see, file settings dot display settings, display width, file view, display width equals. Where do I set the? I know it's somewhere. Display width. Default display width. Here it is. Result settings dot wrap indicator equals, and we can pop up back to the settings again. Wrap indicator br wrap slash show at wrap edge. Quite good. And buffer setting wrap indicator result settings dot wrap indicator equals value. Buffer setting wrap indicator. The buffer setting wrap indicator setting is used to specify how wrapped lines should be marked so the user can see that they have been wrapped. Now, I guess I don't remember where I wrote those. Are those under, like, buffer abstract? BR... Yeah, so let's see about maybe putting those in a more Um, First of all, let me make sure my naming scheme is correct. So if these are going to be under types, I should really have this over here. Enum int 32. We'll just call that wrap slash. Oh yeah, wrap indicator. Alright, so wrap indicator hide tells the buffer rendering system not to put any indicator on wrapped lines. Tells the buffer rendering system to put a backslash indicator on wrapped lines right after the last character of the line. Show at wrap edge tells the buffer rendering system to put a backslash indicator on wrapped lines aligned with the wrap position for that line. Alright, cool. And this up here we can put a doc string on. A wrap indicator mode is used in the buffer setting wrap indicator to specify how to indicate that a line has been wrapped. There we go. What else we need to do? So that gives me the ability to do all the settings. Which is good to have. Um, allows me to do the settings automatically. So that I can set nice defaults that I like that are screen size aware and stuff like that. And then how much time do I have? Alright, so let's start by trying to make wrap indicator. Okay, so now what? I want to start by setting up some default systems so that you can easily tell 4coder. Yeah, I think that I need just a config file at this point. I can't see any way around it because I want to be able to give options. The command line works, but this is the kind of option you might want to set once and not have to always put it on a command line. Like, I guess it's a lot of options that I could. The other problem is it's not very stable. It's not going to be on the command line forever. Eventually I will have a proper config system. But for now, maybe I want a config system where it's very simple and it just is based on some text, and you can go in and say, no, don't use this because it's driving me crazy. Stop using the code wrapping that Alan didn't do a very good job on, or whatever, right? You can just put that right into your config file and it'll work. Hmm. What do I want to do? I could also just say if you don't like it, go revert back. Revert back to something else, or write your own customization, like if you don't like the way it's set up right now. But doing it through a command line option is actually kind of annoying, so it would have to be a config file. Alright, let's do it. Let's just do a config.4coder. Config, oops, data config.4coder. And what we'll have in here is, for now, just a bunch of global variables, one variable per line, and we'll do it this way. Name of the variable, an equal sign, a value, a semicolon, next line, right? So the first variable that I'm going to be using, starting right now, is enable code wrapping equals 1 equals true, right? Okay. from now on, let's see, this will go over here, 4coder, default bindings, my start, config.4coder, if file, read binary, one megabyte, fread the file, no, let's do it properly. So size equals ftel file, fseek file, 0 seek, wait, seek and 0, oh, I can't remember. Let's see, fseek. Alright, fseek file 0 seek set, and then mem equals push block global part, and we want to begin a temp memory, begin temp memory, global part, end temp memory, temp, global part, size +1, fread into the mem, size +1 file. That should fill that thing right up. Then we can get rid of that. Then what I need is CPP token array, oh man, tokens, array.count equals 0, array.max equals, I think that's max count actually. I should pop over here to the lexer types, array, yeah, max count equals, I don't know, let's grab let's just grab ourselves a megabyte of those. Token array.tokens equals push array global part token array.max count. There we go. And now what I'll do is lexer.h cpp lex step, there it is. Hey, alt v boop wrap boop boo-doo-doo. There we go. cpp lex data s cpp lex result size full size. The final chunk is not a if the final chunk is not a null terminated parameter has null term. There we go, has null term. Whatever, I'm leaving that the way it is. Here's the array. Here is max tokens out. That could be wider. Array. Max tokens out. No out limit. Alright. cpp lex result. Let's pop over here and look that up. cpp lex result. Okay. No, pop over there. Bye-bye. So, I'm looking for it to say finished. I don't want anything else. So, if result equals lex result finished, then what we can do is start trying to extract settings. How much time have I got here? Alright, we still got a little bit of time before Handmade Hero. We're gonna make it. So, let's begin a loop. At each step I look at the token I'm on, and basically what I expect is that I get identifier, equal sign, literal, semicolon, over and over again, basically, right? So, let me look up 4coder, right there, yeah, okay. So, if I ever don't see that, then I'll just keep going until I find a semicolon to resume. So, how do I want to do this? Let's do this a different way. I grab a token. If that token type equals cpp token identifier, then ++I, and let's just put a token up here, no, we'll do this ID token, CPP token, EQ token equals, get the next one. That is if I is still less than array count. Get the next one. If EQ token dot type equals CPP token EQ plus I. If I is still less than array count, then CPP token val token equals array dot tokens I plus I. That can be anything, and then we'll do an if I there. Let's just wrap that like that. If I is less than array then I need a semicolon token. If the semicolon token dot type equals CPP token semicolon, then finish. Alright, what we'll do is we'll have, before we do all of that, int32 read setting failed equals true. If we get to here, we'll set that to false. If we come out the other end and we in fact did redo that, then we'll just do is say while or for I is less than array count plus I, if CPP token equals array dot tokens I, if token type is a CPP semicolon token, then we'll break. But anyway, what's happening here is we start with int32i equals 0 up there, and we really want to actually have for I less than array dot count plus I. Perfect. Alright, so now I just need to do this work here. Now it's time for me to use one of my latest 4coder tricks. I can just do that, and there we go. So I've got the ID token, the EQ token, the val token, and the semicolon token, and all I really care about are the ID token and the val token. So first I want to find out if the ID token is an ID that I care about. So to do that, what I'm going to do is say string ID equals make string. We're going to take the wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense. I must have done something wrong here. So CPP lex step. Yeah. Chunk. I'm missing chunk. Where's the chunk? It's right there. Mem. Hey, go back. Lex step, please. There you go. The state, the chunk, the size. Okay, and now data init. Is that important? CPP lex data init. Wonder what that's all about right there. Yeah, this is wrong. I don't use temps anymore. That was fixed at some point. I must not have built this with the new... Well, that actually doesn't make any sense at all, what I was just about to say. Temps don't exist anymore. Yeah, I'm not sure. New temp is deprecated. Yeah, temps aren't supposed to exist. Oh, maybe I haven't released a version where the temps don't exist. I just did that internally. Okay. Anyway, I think that this will work. I should probably do lex data init or init lex data, or what is cpp lex data init. Alright, I think that'll work. I read, if I finish reading correctly, then where we go. I then go ahead and come in here. I really want this up here to actually be a char star. Okay, so then I come in here and I go, look, mem plus id token start, id token size. That gives me the ID string, and then what I want to do is say, look, if match ID enable code wrapping, then there we go. Then what I'll do is I'll say, look at the val token. If if val token dot type equals cpp token boolean constant, then grab this val equals val token if val stir 0 equals t, else. So here we are, we're talking about whether or not to enable code wrapping, and hook sig my file settings, enable code wrapping equals 1 0. Static int 32 or bool 32 enable code wrapping will be 0 1 by default. And then what we'll do is we'll come down here, so hook open file, if enable code wrapping, and do I have buffer dot size is less than 1 megabyte, I think will be a good limit. Then buffer set setting if treat as code and enable code wrapping and buffer setting. Buffer set setting app buffer setting wrap line 1 buffer setting virtual whitespace 1, and then the other thing I want to do is just always say buffer set setting app buffer buffer setting wrap position to be, and then we're going to have over here Well, whenever I open a buffer, what I want to basically have is some kind of default wrap width, which I will go up and store with the static thing up here. Default wrap width. Have that in 4ed CPP 672, and then what I'd like to be able to do is say something like somehow I want to be able to base it on the size of the screen at startup. I don't know when I'm first starting up if I can just look at a view size or not, if that'll work. I mean, I have app here. What can I do with that? Okay, so I can, after I'm done splitting panels, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go view summary, view equals app, or get active view, app, access all, and then if I pop over here, the view summary has some variables in it, and I want file region. So width equals view.file region x1 minus view.file region x0. And then default wrap width equals width minus, let's spare about 40. Int 32t, sorry. Alright, let's see. So it's wrapping the lines now, but I don't see it using virtual white space. So what I'd like to see is default bindings, open my file settings. There we go. I'd like to see if it's hitting that point. Okay, it is. Then it comes down here and says, alright, run to virtual white space. Can we pull it off? Apparently the result is 11. It's a typo. There's the problem. Okay, so we do need to do one other thing, and luckily I prepared for this. I thought this might be coming. One day I was sitting there with my laptop, not sure what little thing to fiddle around with, and I came up with an idea because I saw that this might be coming. So, should I do this on stream today? You know, I think that that's enough for today. Thanks everyone who joined me at some point or who watched through the whole thing. I've got one last thing to do at this point so that we can make 4coders code wrapping enable by default, which is what most people will want, including me. So there's one little just systemic tweak I gotta make so that that will work correctly. And then there will be a new version out tomorrow. So thanks for following along and look forward to that. See you guys later. Bye bye.